Alright, so I'm using my computer, so the video is not that good. We're going to do prospects in the NHL, so I'm just going to start off with the first 8 teams, and I'm probably just going to do 8 teams from now on, so probably about 3 or 4 videos. So I'm just going to say like who I like on their team and who could make an impact in the NHL next year, probably, with some players that might be further down the line. So I'm going to start with the Anaheim Ducks. Obviously, Nick Ritchie is going to be second-to-line forward for them, power forward probably. So he played in the NHL last year. In 38 games, he had 16 goals and 14 assists for 30 points. With the depth that Anaheim has, he might be able to make the roster this year as like a fourth or third line forward, but I can see him being a second line in the future. Then it's Sam Steele. I really like this pick for Sam Steele. He's going to be a really good player for them, hopefully. He won't have the pressure to be a top guy in this organization, obviously, because Getzlaf and Kessler are there, so they can send him to the juniors this year again. He can develop the way he's supposed to be. In a few years, maybe he'll make the NHL. And then they just have a bunch of young, good defensemen. So Shea Theodore, who played in the AHL, had 50 games played, 9 goals, 28 assists for 37 points. He could be a possible top 2 defenseman in the AHL in the future. And then Brandon Montador played 68 games, had 12 goals, 45 assists for 57 points in the AHL as well. And I can see him being a top 4 defenseman. Just didn't take a long time. Maybe be traded out because Anaheim has a really good young defense core. So then Arizona, obviously Dylan Strome's going to be like most likely a top line center. So he played 56 games, had 37 goals, 74 assists for 111 points. And he probably will get the first line center role maybe this year, but for sure probably next year. But he could easily be there this year. And then Christian Dvorak, I could see him playing the second line center in his career. He had a really good year, 59 games, 52 goals, 69 assists for 121 points. Obviously that wicked line in London really helps. But yeah, he could easily become a second line center. I really like Clayton Keller, this pick from the U.S. development program. 62 games, he had 37 goals, 70 assists for 107 points. Could easily be another top 6 centerman, so they just have great centermen in their organization, at least prospect pools. And Jacob Chikrin, he dropped quite a bit in the draft over the year. He was projected to be probably like top 5 to 10 at the beginning of the year, and then he just kept dropping. So hopefully he just had a off season. He had a pretty good year, had 11 goals, 38 assists for 49 points. So he should make the NHL, not this year, but maybe a couple years from now. Boston Bruins, they have Jakub Zboril, who they drafted last year, I think 15th. They had 3 picks in a row. I think he might have been 15th. One of those picks he was, for sure. He played 50 games in the queue, had 6 goals, 14 assists for 20 points. Not the best points-wise, but he can be a shutdown defender. Charlie McAvoy, which they drafted this year, in 37 games at Boston University, he had 3 goals, 22 assists for 25 points. Obviously, he probably is going to develop there a little bit longer. Frank Vatrano is most likely going to make the team next year. He played 36 games, had 36 goals, 19 assists for 55 points in the NHL. This year, he could possibly be on the third line, could move up to the second line, but he easily can be a top 6 forward in the NHL throughout his career. And then Malcolm Subban, he most likely won't play all that much this year. Next year should be his time because Hugh Doman is going to be the backup with Rask. But for sure, hopefully next year he makes it in and maybe he gets traded or something because Rask is easily the number 1 right there. So Buffalo Sabres, I really like the pick of Alex Nylander. Probably won't make the club this year, but maybe next year, and he can easily be a top 6 forward in the NHL. Most likely second line, I predict him. And Hudson Fashing, I think it's the University of Minnesota. He had 37 games, 20 goals, 18 assists for 38 points. He can make the club this year. We'll have to wait and see. I think he highest potential might be third line player. That's what I see. And then Brendan Gould. I don't know if he'll make the team this year. 63 games. He had 10 goals, 18 assists for 28 points. I think it was in the. Oh, let me just take a look. Might be the AHL, but no, in the Western Hockey League. Sorry about that. So he might take a couple more years to develop. I think he's going to be a bottom 6 guy. So then we have the Calgary Flames. I'm going to try to make this video as fast as possible. Obviously, Matthew Tkachuk is the highest rated prospect in their on their team. So in games played, 57, he had 30 goals, 77 assists for 107 points. I see him being a second line forward throughout his career on this. He can improve his skating. Like, he has the hands, the hockey sense, and all that to be a top line player. He just needs to improve his skating a little bit. If he does that, for sure, he's going to be a dynamic forward in the league. Andrew Mangapane, I'm horrible with names. 59 games, 51 goals, 55 assists for 106 points. He is an older. He played in the OHL, but he was. I think he's around 20. So you expect a 20-year-old to put up that many points. He could become maybe a third line guy or a second line guy in the NHL. And then Tyler Parsons. He didn't get enough credit in London because obviously they could score a lot, and he didn't really face too many shots. He had 37 wins, 9 losses, and 3 overtime losses. So obviously it takes goaltenders and defensemen a lot longer to make the NHL. So 2 to 3 years is the minimum that he's going to be out of the NHL. Like, he won't play in the NHL. But yeah, he had a great year for London last year. He just didn't get the credit that he deserves, really, because they just scored way too much. So Carolina Hurricanes, Sebastian Aho, he's going to be a top 6 forward this year and hopefully throughout his career. He should be in contention for Rookie of the Year. I see him having a pretty good year. Last year in the Finnish Elite League, so he's already played against men. In 45 games, he had 20 goals, 25 assists for 45 points, which is still pretty good. Then they have Hayden Fleury, who had 50 games in the Western Hockey League, 12 goals, 29 assists for 41 points. He could probably be a 3-4 defenseman in the NHL. And then Alex Nedeljkovic, I'm from the Niagara region, so I was able to see him play quite a bit in Niagara. And he was a big part of their playoff run, which brought him to the finals. He didn't have stellar numbers. He had 24 wins, 20 losses, and 4 overtime losses. 289 goals against average and 907 save percentage. But he definitely got better as the playoffs went on, and he was one of the main reasons they made it to the finals. So the Chicago Blackhawks, Nick Schmaltz is a defenseman from North Dakota. At 37 games, he had 11 goals, 35 assists for 46 points. So obviously they shored up their top 4 with signing Brian Campbell, so he could make the bottom 6 this year. And so there won't be much pressure on him, which might help him develop. And should be able to make the jump in a couple years to the top 4 defense. They have Ryan Hartman, which I really forgot about. Last year in the AHL, he played 61 games, had 15 goals, 20 assists for 35 points. This is probably his last year to prove that he can make the NHL. If he does, I don't see him playing higher than the third line. So, but he could surprise a few. I really like I think it was their second round draft pick, Alex Sabrinkat, this year. In 60 games, he had 51 points, 51 goals, 50 assists, and 101 points. So just another small, speedy, skilled winger. So he should easily fit into what they're building there, and they just keep drafting really well, being cup contenders. And then the Colorado Avalanche. So they have Mikko Rantanen, who in 52 games in the AHL had 24 goals, 36 assists for 60 points, which is pretty good for the AHL. So he could make the jump up this year. He's going to be a top 6 forward, maybe second, third line actually. So probably top 9 forward throughout his career. They have Chris Bygras, who is like a probably defensive defenseman. In the AHL, he played 37 games, had 6 goals, 13 assists for 19 points. So he might make the bottom 6 this year for the Colorado Avalanche, but maybe might start the year in the AHL. And then Tyler Yost, which is they drafted him this year in 48 games he played junior A last year. He had 42 goals, 62 assists, and 104 points, which is pretty decent for junior A. So he wasn't playing as high as talent as some of the players from the OHL or even from the European leagues, but it's still a pretty good league. The junior A leagues are. So he should be able to maybe be a second line player, but we'll have to wait and see. So yeah, I'm just gonna try to make these videos hopefully as quick as possible. I don't really do a lot of long videos. This one's getting pretty long, so they might all be around this time. If I forgot anybody from any teams that I went through, just comment down below. Obviously, I don't know a lot about the prospects of a lot of NHL teams, although I do know some of the bigger names. So what I think about these prospects and whether or not they're going to make the NHL, and if they do, what they might turn out to be in the NHL. So let me know what you think. Like, comment, and subscribe, and have a nice day.